Hi guys, it's Miss Condos. I kind of figured that if this works, and I'll do this for the third, fourth, fifth, sixth week. If this doesn't work for you and your family, then parents can dojo message me and I can go back to filming the other way. But for right now, I figured you guys can see the packet as I'm going over it, and this might work a little bit better. So let's try it out, okay? So this is your third week of distance learning, okay? So April 13th through April 17th. Um, are a few pages of different assignments, but they're similar to what you've been doing for the past 2 weeks, okay? So let's start going over them. First of all, your focus this week is compassion. You might have heard of compassion before. If you haven't, that's totally okay, because this is your perfect chance to kind of explore it more and gain a better understanding of it, all right? So I'm gonna read you what they define compassion as. Compassion in action is the understanding of a problem or the suffering of another and acting to solve the problem or alleviate the suffering. When you show compassion in action, you step outside yourself to do something to connect with others and help better their situation or lives, whether physically or mentally. So in February, we did a kindness challenge, and some of you guys, the acts of kindness that you chose and the things you did for that challenge would align with compassion and would count as compassionate acts, okay? This might be something that you talk to mom or dad about and you say, what's something compassionate you guys did or have done, or grandma or grandpa, and you kind of get some ideas of what compassion is and an example of it, okay? So each day you are going to choose one of these. There are 4 different prompts and 5 different days, so maybe you choose one to do twice, or maybe the 5th day you just choose to do your own about compassion and you make up your own prompt, okay? Moms and dads can help you with that. So these different ideas, each idea starts with a bullet point. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, okay? So each bullet point is a whole new journal topic. Remember, these are only a couple of sentences if you're writing about something, and if you are choosing one of the other ones, then it tells you exactly what to do. So what does compassion mean to you? Identify 2 or 3 ways to show compassion. You would write one sentence about what compassion means to you, and then write another sentence with a few ideas listed off, okay? They don't even have to be full sentences for me, since I know that you guys are doing full sentences with your writing, okay? So that's up to mom and dad how you want to do that. And over here shows you a way to do it online. So if you are using a computer or a tablet, you'd prefer to do it online, that's fine. I'd really like you practicing your handwriting though, so I'd prefer you do it on a piece of paper. All right, so each day you're going to start your day with that. Then you're going to do a brain break. Remember, you pick one of these and you do it in between every single activity and every single lesson. You could also do a Go Noodle instead, or do a few Heidi songs instead, but you are doing, or maybe a big brother or sister will play Simon Says with you for a few minutes, okay? But you need to do one of these every single time you complete one assignment. I know you want to get these done super fast so that you can go and do other activities and all that stuff, but this is going to help your brain to stay focused longer so you can do your best work, okay? So make sure you're doing one of these, either watching the compassion videos over here, doing a Go Noodle, doing a Mind Yeti, picking 3 favorite animals and acting the way that they act. Maybe you do a workout and you want to do some push-ups and jumping jacks. All kinds of different ideas. The pretzel breathing, okay? There's lots of different ideas on here. You should be doing one in between every activity you do in every lesson. Reading practice. This follows the same pattern that you've been doing for the past 2 weeks, okay? So you're going to read for at least 20 minutes. That means you can read for longer than 20 minutes, but you have to make sure you read for 20 minutes. You can read out loud to a parent. You can read out loud to a dog or a stuffy. We're in 1st grade, so we don't really read in our heads yet. I would prefer you read out loud so that you can hear yourself or someone else can be listening to you, okay? You need to read at least 1 fiction book this week. That's what this bold words say. You guys have learned what bold words are. They're when words are thicker and blacker and darker ink. So also, what is a fiction book? I want you to think about that. Okay, so if you said that it's a book that's kind of make-believe or about something that wouldn't really happen, you're totally right. If there are walrus talking to fairies in a book, it's probably a fiction book, okay? It's not something that really happens in real life. But if it's about a book about Martin Luther King Jr. and it's about his life, probably a nonfiction book, okay? So you need to find at least one fiction book to read during the week. So you can read it on Wednesday, on Tuesday, but if you always read nonfiction books about true things that are happening in the world and things, I want you to choose at least one nonfiction or one fiction book this week, okay? You guys should go on Clever. I put a bunch of books that are your level up there, and if you cannot find books at your house that are your level, then you should be going on Clever. Another option for this time is to have a parent or older brother or sister read with you or to you. Maybe you read the words that you recognize and you point word to word and they read it. And you can talk about some of the words, okay? Listening to someone read is just as helpful as reading yourself. All right, so after you do your reading, then you should fill out your reading log, which I'll scroll down to. So it's right here. Day 9 is what you should be on for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The number of books, the best book, and if that best book was fiction or nonfiction. Or maybe you put tally marks if you read 3 fiction books and 2 nonfiction books. All right. So those are your options for that, for filling out the reading log. After your reading log, we're going to go back up here to writing. You're going to choose one of the books that you read that week that has characters in it. Read the directions for at-home writing to sources writing. And here's a link to it if you want to do it online. You're going to choose 2 characters and find details. Details are things in the story that are important, but probably not the main topic, okay? So details that occur in the story. You can choose details from the pictures, the illustrations, or the words. It's up to you, okay, what you want to choose those details from. Then you're going to add the characters and the details that you found in the book to the chart. Then you're going to draw and write about the characters. How are they the same? How are they different? All of that stuff, okay? In between reading and filling out that log and then doing your writing, you should be doing a brain break, okay? And I'm here to answer your parents' questions on writing. If they don't understand that prompt, or if maybe you did that on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and now you're kind of like, I need a break. I want to do something a little bit different. I can give you a new prompt once you've done this, okay? Maybe write about the virtual field trip we went to the aerospace place, or maybe you want to write about something that you're enjoying from learning at home. Maybe you want to write about something you helped your mom or dad with. Maybe you want to write about something that you miss about school, what you would do if you were the president of the United States. There's lots of fun things that you can write about, but this is what you have to write about first. Down here it says, write about the characters and how are they different, how are they the same, and how are they different. That's the same thing as when we do our compare and contrast charts. Comparing is talking about how 2 things are the same. Contrasting is talking about how 2 things are different. All right, so for the writing piece, that's what you're going to be doing, okay? You need to write this on your own, but moms and dads and grandmas and grandpas and brothers and sisters can help you with spelling if you need help. But remember to use the strategies that you already know of, okay? Like stretching the words, going back into the book and trying to find the words themselves. Use those strategies that you already know first, but if you really can't get it, then ask a mom, dad, or grandma, grandpa, or brother, sister for help, okay? That's okay. So after you do your writing, then you're going to do another brain break. Here is an example of how you might structure your sentences. So when you're writing, if you wanted to follow this pattern, it says 2 characters in my book are blank and blank. So you would write about 2 characters like Piggy and Elephant maybe. Okay, 1 key detail from my book is something that happened in the book, 1 main idea that was important. Another key detail is something else that was important. My characters are the same because what's something that they do that's the same? Piggy and Elephant are both animals. Maybe you write that. My characters are different because they didn't agree in the story. A lot of Piggy and Elephant books, they don't really agree on the things that they are talking about. So maybe you write, my characters are different because they disagreed about, and you write what they disagreed about, okay? So your next job is your reading skills. You're going to do a brain break after writing and then switch over to foundational skills phonics. This is called rhyme time. That's the name of the game, okay? I'm going to read the directions to you and then explain it a little bit further, okay? Find items around the house and have the student name, you guys are the students, name them one at a time. After the student names the item, have him or her, so you guys say a word that rhymes with that item. For example, if the student says can, then they can afterwards say fan. Ask second grade students to orally form the plural of word pairs. So if you said cans, then you might have to then also figure out can turn to cans if there's more than one of them, and then if there's more than one fan, it can turn to fans, okay? So maybe I find phone and I say, what's a word that rhymes with phone? Tone, like a ringtone, okay? Maybe I find a book and I say, book. Look is another word that rhymes with book, okay? So you have to think about those rhyming words, okay? Remember, in order to have a rhyming word, you drop the first letter of the word and then you keep the last part of the word. So if I were to find a rhyming word with bike, I would have to take the B off, keep the Ike, and add another letter, like Mike, psych, like, okay? So that's your job, is to find some rhyming words. Maybe do 5 to 10 every day, okay? Where you find 5 to 10 things around the house. Try to keep them different every day, though, if you're gonna play this game every day. During this time is also a great time to go on Clever and do some of those games that I put on Clever for you guys. Also, there are other things that you can do. Maybe moms or dads want to write some sight words on sticky notes, put them around the house, and you have to go on a scavenger hunt to find them. There's lots of other ideas, and if moms and dads want to message me to find out some more reading skill activities, we can talk about some alternative assignments and activities for kiddos to do if this one maybe gets boring after a couple of days, or maybe you don't need much help with rhyming, so you want to practice a different skill. That's okay. So then you are going to move into your math. You are going to choose one game every day. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and there are 5 days. On Friday, if you maybe want to choose your favorite game and play it again from week 1, 2, and 3, you could do that. So you don't even have to do one of these games. If you on Friday think, I would rather just do some Khan Academy, that's totally fine. Or if one of these just doesn't sound interesting to moms or dads or you, then you guys can do Khan Academy instead. So yeah, let's go ahead and talk about these games, okay? So you are first graders. So instead of looking at the kindergarten description for a game, you are going to look at the first grade one when there is an option for that. Okay? If you think that maybe you need some practice first, you can play the kindergarten way first and then play the first grade way. If you need a challenge after you play the first grade way, then maybe go down and do the second grade way, okay? So I'm gonna read this to you. The first game is called What Comes Next. You're gonna, it's gonna help you to, this is more for parents, this is what it's gonna help with. It's gonna help build background for numbers between 0 and 120. Count and sort anything that you have. How many paper clips do you have? Count pieces of pasta, shells on a beach, buttons, nails, candies, toothpicks, Q-tips, rubber bands, etc. What does 100 of those objects look like? In first grade, students are working on oral counting and counting sets of objects to 120. Encourage students to find a more efficient way to count larger numbers, for example, grouping the objects by 10. Students are oral counting, give them a number, and have them start counting from the number forward to 120 or back to 0. So you might tell a student, oh, we have 95 of these, how many more do we need to get to 120? And they would have to count on, and maybe you would tally as they count on so that they can then count and say, oh, well, if I counted 91, 92, 93, all the way up to 120, you keep tally marks, or I said 95 to 120, so maybe they count 96, 97, 98, and you keep a chart of it, and they can count afterwards and realize there's 25. Your students should be familiar with tally marks and groups of 5 with tallies. that's a good way for them to count. They should be aware of how to count by fives, count by tens. If they're struggling, maybe watch a Jack Hartman video that could help them with that. Another thing that they're really familiar with is hundreds charts. We started working with those before we left for spring break. So something to bring out when working on this is a hundreds chart. Maybe print one off offline, start talking to them about it, okay? So, problem of the week, solve these problems any way you choose. All right, so for first grade, it says Deja rolled 3 dice and counted all the dots. She counted 10 dots. She did not roll any ones or sixes. What 3 combinations of numbers might she have rolled? This is kind of a difficult problem because there are a lot of walls students might hit while solving it. This is a great problem to maybe talk out with one another. So maybe get out a dice and kind of give them some options, figure it out with them, help lead them to the answer that they're trying to get to. After the math activity, and we'll go over the math games as we continue to scroll, after this the math activity, you're going to do a brain break. After the brain break, you're going to move on to science and social studies. It says go outside 3 different times of the day, morning, afternoon, and evening. Draw and or label or write about what you see in the sky, okay? Answer the following questions. There's also a science graph on page 72. So let's go ahead and I can help you go to page 72. Let's go there together. And we can look at the graph that they're talking about. Page 72. All right, so see morning, afternoon, evening. I know I also told you guys that this could be something that you used for PE earlier on. If you did, then don't worry about it. You can just use a piece of paper and write about morning, afternoon, and evening. There's also 2 pages of this paper, see 73 and 72, so don't worry about it. If you already filled out 72, maybe just work on 73, okay? So back to, sorry guys, back to week 3. What you guys are working on with week 3. All right, guys, so you guys are working on stuff for science. Like I said, page 72 and 73 of this packet have different pages that you might have already used for PE, and it's totally fine if you did, okay? You'll just use a blank piece of paper instead. Do you see sun, stars, or moon outside? Did the sun, stars, or moon change places? So when you went out in the morning, maybe they were right over your house, you could see the moon, but maybe as you went outside later on, it had moved, okay? So you're gonna take note of those things, the things that you noticed. You might draw, and then you have to label them though, okay? You have to label, which means that you write what is in the picture. All right, so this is some extra supports that might help you with figuring it out. So a sentence structure, I saw blank in the sky. Maybe you saw the moon. I saw the moon in the sky. The next time I went outside, I saw the sun. The things that changed were there were more clouds and the moon hadn't moved, okay? So you're gonna write different things about it. And honestly, this is something that would be really good to do every single day. So I'm gonna ask that you at least do it 4 days, okay? You might not do it all 5, but I'd like you to do it 4 times, okay? So you go out in the morning, you go out in the middle of the day, and then you go out at the end of the day. And you figure out the different things that have changed. The end of the day means right before dinner time, okay? The middle of the day means right around lunchtime. And the beginning of the day means right before breakfast, maybe, okay? Or right after breakfast even, all right? An extension is that when you do this over multiple days, then you guys can talk about the things that are different. So maybe on Monday, there was a moon, but on Tuesday, you couldn't see the moon anywhere. It had disappeared. Maybe on Wednesday, it was raining outside. But Thursday, it was sunny as can be, okay? So you can kind of talk about and compare and contrast. Remember, comparing is talking about how 2 things are the same. Contrasting is talking about how 2 things are different. What you saw outside, what outside was like, all that kind of stuff. So that's pretty cool. Then doing your music, participating in your music listening challenge is an option. It's at the end of the packet. It's also what I told you guys to do last week. If you don't want to do this, Miss Hyler does also have a lot of activities on her page that you can do. maybe another option would be to do a few Heidi songs and sing along with them, okay? And dance. All right. So it's really, you should be exposing yourself to some music, getting some music playing in your head. It's good for your heart. It's good for your mind. It's good for you to keep smiling. All right. So music is really good for you for right now. So after you're done with your science for that day and you talked about maybe something that you saw in the middle of the day, then you will work on music. The science activity is like an all day activity, right? It's beginning of the day, middle of the day, end of the day. So every time you do something, after you go outside, you draw and label your picture, you write about what you saw. After you do these things, you should be taking a brain break. It's just as important even if you don't do the full activity, okay? So then after music time, whenever you decide to do music, you are going to do a brain break again. Really, you do not need to do all of the things in this packet in order, but you do need to do all of them. After your music time, you will be doing an SEL closer. This is again in your journal, and it's always about compassion. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bullet points here. That means that there's 5 different options. So you can choose one each day, but you should have finished all of these by the end of the week. They'll never give you more than you're able to finish if you do one every single day. All right. So why is it important to be positive? What impact does it have on you and others? So when you're positive and you're happy and you're smiling and you're in a good mood, how does that change maybe somebody else? Okay. So if you are smiling and happy and asking to help other people and just in such a good mood all day, how could that maybe change how mom and dad feel or how brother or sister feels, how grandma or grandpa feels, okay? Maybe a friend at school. How does that change how they're feeling when you're being happy and excited and in a good mood? And if you can't really figure that out, maybe think about how it makes you feel if someone else is positive, someone else is in a good mood and happy and smiling. How does that change how you feel, okay? So you're gonna do one of those every single day. These are your breathing techniques. There's balloon, star, drain, pretzel. You can also cup your soup like I've taught you to and smell what kind of soup you have, then blow on it to keep it cool. You can also pick a flower, blow all the petals, smell it, and then blow all the petals off. You can also get a balloon and blow it up. And then pop it, okay? So first you breathe in really big. Okay, pop the balloon. All right. So this balloon technique is a little bit different. It's on top of your head. So it's up to you however you want to do a breathing break if you need one when you get maybe a little frustrated and you're kind of needing a little space from your work. That's a really good thing to do. So this is your reading log. It is on page 46 of your packet. Okay, on page 47, it gives you more details about your writing, okay, for week 3. Remember, we talked about how you're going to be comparing and contrasting characters, talking about key details from a fiction book that you've read. That's why you're reading at least one fiction book this week, right? So that's on page 47. Page 48 gives you a page to do that on. Page 49 says what activity did you choose today, and you have to write it and then use the space below to record your game or play or how you solve the problem or activity. So depending on which game you choose. So up here it gave us 4 different games for math. It said high roller salute, cover the number and 4 strikes and you're out. And I'm gonna send moms and dads or link in the description of the video some other videos on how to play those, but we'll go ahead and talk about them really fast, or at least the ones that are in here. So there's 5 days, so 5 different chances to play a game. All right, high roller. This is high roller. You need 2 to 4 players to play. You need 2 dice. Okay, so it's you and mom or dad, and 2 dice, and the recording sheet that is on page 56. Okay, and you also need a number grid from 0 to 100. And it's up to you if you want a writing page, okay? But we do have, so here is your writing sheet if you want to use that. And here's the recording sheet, okay? So the directions is that player 1 rolls 2 dice, okay? So I would roll 2 dice. And then I would tell you which, and keep the one die that's greater. So if I roll a 6 and a 4, I would keep the 6, okay? And the lesser die, I would roll again. So the 4, I'd roll again. And if I ended up with a 6, then I can choose to keep the doubles or roll one die again, okay? So that's up to me. 6 and 6 sounds pretty good to me though. Then player 1, so that's probably you who just rolled, player 1 just rolled, we have to decide if they want to count on, if they want to count all of them, if they want to use a fact they already know to get the sum. The sum means the total of the dots on both dice, and then write that down. Player 1 would then write the equation that made that number, okay? So here's your recording sheet down here. What was the biggest number, then what was the other number, how many is there all together, okay? That's for player 1, and then player 2 would do it again, okay? And then you're gonna use your writing sheet to record it. Then the other player would go. Each player has to find out how many they have total, the sum, which means that you add up all the dots. The winner is the player who has the biggest number after all the rounds, okay? So I think that you should decide with a mom or dad who you're playing with first before you start playing how many rounds you're gonna play, okay? These are some questions, moms and dads, to ask your student, maybe to find out how they're solving these, maybe to give them different ideas of easier ways to solve it, things like that, okay? And you can keep reading for more information. So these are both pages that go with that math game. Salute is the next one. You need a deck of cards for Salute. Some of you might have played this before. Player 1 and player 2 split up the deck into equal piles. You need 3 players for this, so you might need a mom and a sister, okay? Let's just say. Player 3 calls Salute, and so player 1 and player 2 get the split cards. We actually already talked about this game, so you split the deck in half, and player 1 and player 2 sticks a card facing up on their forehead, and player 3 looks at both cards and says how many it is. So you can see on the other person's forehead, oh, they've got 4 maybe, and maybe the person who, the third player says, oh, it's 7. So if you can see they have 4, and they said 7 was how many they had all together, you might put 7 on your fingers and say, oh, but I know they have 4. So you might put 7 all together on your fingers. You might say, oh, I know they have 4, so how many is there left? 1, 2, 3, okay? So you're gonna figure out how you're gonna play that game, who you're gonna play with, all that kind of stuff. Here are those guiding questions again, moms and dads. And then here is a number line for you to work with for that. Cover that number. This is a different game that you guys have played already, actually, so not going to explain it because I explained it in my video for last week. So if you don't remember how to play it, go ahead and go to my video for last week. Same with the Salute video. I explained it a little bit better there. 4 strikes and you're out. This is a fun game that I'll explain in just a second. There's also what comes next. What patterns do you see? So there's 1, and then there's 1, 2 with a 1 on the other side, a 3 and 2 on the other side, a 4 and 3 on the other side, 5 and 4 on the other side. So what patterns do you see? What would the next 3 pictures in the sequence look like? Create your own sequence. Sequence means it follows a pattern each time. And once you're done with that, you might want to explain it to moms and dads, okay? So the math games, I will attach links on how to play them in the description. Also, my last week explained a lot of them, but I am going to log off right now since I've had some complaints on how long my videos can get. So we are going to all right, so thanks for logging on and watching my video, kind of learning what the third week is going to hold as far as activities go and all that kind of stuff. Remember, you also have Clever that you can be working on. You have Khan Academy. I'm going to send out some other resources and links and materials you might be using this week that will be really helpful and maybe could replace or supplement some of the other activities that were in the packet. I will do a video probably just like this next week if you guys liked how this one went. If you did not, that's totally fine. Please let me know. Send me a dojo message and say, I really prefer you going over the paper forms, all right? But I hope you guys have a great week, and remember that I'm here to answer all your questions and support you in any way I can, okay? I love and miss all of my kiddos, and I hope you're having a ton of fun at home with your parents. Bye, guys.